Yeah, we're in the show. It's the DeadEndRoad show, episode 42. It's Bill and Ian. I think we should get started with a little dead wrong because we made some oopsies last time.
Oh, questionable.
So,
questionable.
Sure, yeah, but yeah. So let's just go ahead and do that.
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it. Not this time. No, not this time.
So without you know, naming any parties at fault, but last week on a couple of occasions, one of the hosts referred to the international rap sensation Razzle Khan as Razzle Dazzle, and so we deeply apologize to Razzle Khan and their family, and we strive to do better in the future.
So the only argument I have there, I mean, we haven't stated which one of us made this mistake. Like, you would have to go back and listen for yourself to see.
You have to find out, yeah.
But isn't Razzle Dazzle sort of like the unofficial nickname of Razzle Khan?
In the songs, I thought she said Razzle. I don't know.
Razzle Dazzle was definitely a lyric. It's like,
was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's more of a verb though, you know, like, hey, Razzle Dazzle, you know, like.
And then you showed me that screenshot on their website.
Yes, which it says that's the only reference I could find, and it is like it's just an exclamatory Razzle Dazzle. Mm-hmm. Actually, Razzle comma Dazzle. So I don't think that's a name. So I don't know what to make of that. Also, whenever we were discussing Jackass, I said that the closing credits, CKY's 96 Bitter Beings plays over the closing credits, and it's actually Flesh into Gear.
Nobody in a million years would have ever noticed that.
I know. But yes. And also, apologies for the slight humming noise that was plaguing the last episode on my audio, because there was an electrical fault in my system, but that should be resolved.
Yes, he pulled out the old oscilloscope and figured things out. So,
you know, the Stevens family, we buy too many audio products. Let's just leave it at that. So that's dead wrong for this week. It had been a while. I don't think we had really had any major notable errors that needed to be pointed out.
To be fair, like, even if we did, we don't get any like listener mail or listener feedback. So there's really, unless we catch it ourselves the second time around, there's really no way to know.
That's true. You want to know something funny? So my stats provider for the podcast, like, recently changed their interface like this week. And so whenever I was checking things out, everything was listed under it doesn't add up. And so there was a very brief minute where I was deeply concerned that all of the numbers that I've been seeing were still for it doesn't add up, and that literally 0 people had ever listened to this program. So that was a fun minute and a half.
So that turned out not to be the case?
That is not the case.
Okay.
That is not the case. They're just all sorted under there, and then the individual episodes I can see the stats for. That was not that was not great for the old brain, you know?
Yeah. You know, the way I think of it is like, even if there's just one person that's listening and getting some sort of, I don't know if I'd go so far as say enjoyment out of this show, then it's worth it.
Boy, we can waste your time.
Yeah.
That's what we can do. We can waste your goddamn time. So I do want to move into this. We do have a big story this week. So you're familiar with these Canadian truckers, right? This big old convoy they got going on?
No.
Okay. Okay. There's a big ass convoy of Canadian anti-vax truckers who are protesting Canadian vaccine mandates. And so their protest was to just get in their trucks and drive in a big old line, and then they sort of evolved into just like blocking streets and shit
Well, so if you're in your truck, then you are technically social distancing.
Yeah, but they're also doing like camp out shenanigans where they're just kind of like having a grand old time. And their whole point is that they don't want to get the vaccine, and so they're not going to drive the truck if they have to get the vaccine. And so they're protesting by driving the truck. So the other thing is that it is a gigantic grift. It is a complete and utter scam because they quickly, or somebody set up GoFundMe's for the truckers, okay? And they started raking in lots of money.
What's this for, like gas money?
I don't know. I really don't know what the money's supposed to be for. But they started raking in a hefty chunk of change. I'm talking like millions started pouring in.
Oh, my.
And GoFundMe shut down the campaign. Mm-hmm. The conspiracy theorists say it was pressure from the Canadian government. I think it was just because that there was no direct cause for the money or why they needed so much of it. There was like, what were they doing with the money? Why did they need the money? It was never really defined. So then they thought that they could move into other crowdfunding. There is the scammiest thing I've ever seen. Some company billing themselves as the Christian alternative to GoFundMe because GoFundMe is satanic and anti-conservative or whatever. It looks like a website built in maybe 2001, if you're being generous. So that thing, like they were trying to promote themselves. Who knows where the fuck that money's going? I don't think it's going to anyone but whatever this scam company was. They started getting lots of money. A lot of conservative grifters and conspiracy theorists started promoting that company, so they might have a stake in it, is what I think. Then the truckers were told that they should start accepting donations in crypto because, oh yeah, like you can't trust these companies, you can't trust the government, so you need Bitcoin, man. The problem is they don't know how to do that.
Sure.
And so these truckers, they're very used to like the open communications of the CB radio, and things like that.
I used to have you might remember this. There used to be like a CB transmission that came through my television when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
King Kong,
yeah.
It was like King Kong Baba Booey. That was like a repeated phrase, and it had some sort of significance to the truckers. I forget exactly what it was, but
well, the Baba Booey is just Howard Stern. That's a Howard Stern thing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So there probably some in joke among the local truckers that listen to Howard Stern because they have to have the radio on. So they're used to like that open communication where like anybody can just kind of hear it accidentally or if they're listening in or whatever. But so they shifted that to the internet but just kind of left it open. So the anti-mandate is the nice way of calling these trucking protesters. They held a Twitter space, quote unquote, emergency meeting. And this is in response to the Canadian government issuing a state of emergency because of the truckers. Because they're just kind of blocking the roads and shit at this point. Like,
are they not
even driving?
Oh, they're not even driving anymore.
No. Now they're like doing, I guess, like some form of sit-in, but on the roads with their big ass trucks.
Are they silent or are they like honking the horns? Do we know?
It seems like they're just kind of camping out and like it's like a tailgate kind of thing. So they held this emergency meeting on a Twitter space, which is basically just an open broadcast. And they're also using an app called Zello, which is some kind of live communications thing. So basically, it sounds like internet CB radio to me, because it's completely open and like anybody could join. So then counter protesters joined their channels and started spamming the gay cowboy anthem Ram Ranch.
Was that is that meant to be like a play on like the Dodge Ram?
Maybe. I'm not quite familiar I'm not quite familiar with the tune. I have to be cautious now because, okay, Urban Dictionary Ram Ranch, a song written by singer-songwriter Grant McDonald about 18 naked cowboys in Ram Ranch 224. McDonald mentions that the Ram Ranch is in Caledon, Ontario. Okay. A very awesome song you should listen to that the people are talking about. 18 naked... Okay, these are the lyrics.
Okay.
18 naked cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch. Big, hard-throbbing cocks wanting to be sucked. Okay, all right. It kind of goes on from there.
Do we have a clip?
I'm very cautious about playing it, and the only reason why is because the fucking Judge Judy got dinged last week.
Really? Wow.
Yes. It's a 6 minute and 50-second song. Oh God in heaven. Whoa, that's not what I expected.
18 naked cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch. Big hard throbbing cocks wanting to be sucked. 18 naked cowboys wanted to be fucked. Cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch on their knees wanting to suck cowboy cocks.
Oh, so this is spoken
Ranch
word.
Really rocks.
Yeah, I guess so. Is there a chorus?
This is like Law Dispute.
Holy shit.
Hot, hard, buff cowboys. Their
No,
cocks
it really is
throbbing
just-
hard. 18 more wild cowboys out in the yard.
Oh my God, it's so
Big
Canadian.
bulging cocks
This
out
reminds
so
me of Me
hard.
Without You.
Orgy in the showers at Ram Ranch. Big hard throbbing cocks. Ram and cowboy butt. Like a breed of ram wanting to rut.
So last week I asked a question. I asked a couple of times whether I could enjoy Razzle Khan unironically, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna pose the same question here because
No. See, the difference is this is supposed to be hilarious.
yes.
That's the difference.
Well, I still don't fully believe Razzle Khan wasn't somewhat tongue in cheek,
Well,
but that's a whole other conversation. I don't want to
that's
take away from what's going on here currently. This is
Yeah.
magic.
yeah. So that's Ram Ranch, all right? So people were joining this open call and spamming the different channels with that song, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So the truckers moved to a new channel. The issue here is that the moderator turned out to be a double agent.
Oh man.
Quote, this person gained our trust. We trusted them as a moderator, somebody says. Traitor, traitor, another person yells. And this is all from a Twitter feed by Paul MacLeod, who is a BuzzFeed DC reporter. So the moderator who turned out to be, quote, part of the resistance apparently shut things down and ruined their ability to communicate, allowing the police to roll up on the blockade. Another guy says, what a clusterfuck. Someone started playing Ram Ranch on that feed. Christ on a cross, somebody yells. So the resistance infiltrates the Twitter space now. So they were in this quote unquote private channels where the moderator turned on them and snitched to the police basically. So then they joined the Twitter space, which is completely open to the public.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't even have the settings properly where like basically anybody could talk. They didn't like just have it set to like a set number of speakers like I've seen some Twitter spaces, where you're basically just listening to a live podcast is ostensibly what some of them turn out to be. This was just open. Anybody could join it and talk. So somebody says, yeah, I've got a plan. Why don't we go full court press tonight? I mean, full court press. Fuck these cops. And it's apparently hard to tell who is an actual protester and who is making fun of them because they're just saying shit.
Yeah.
There's talk about needing lots of money. None of us know how to use that goddamn Bitcoin, somebody says. I've got kids. I need some money here. I can't do this, says somebody else. What happened to the money we donated? I gave $600, says a woman. Somebody says, it's gone. Bye. And then somebody else said, what is this Ram Ranch people are talking about? Is this somewhere we can go and get our money?
Oh, man.
It's complete anarchy in these public chats where these truckers were trying to organize and people are just outright trolling them. Some guy goes on a monologue about sucking off truckers. They're trying to figure out how to kick out all the Ram Ranchers, as they begin calling them. I don't understand what's happening. People are just disgusting, somebody says. Quotes that are either from the truckers or ranchers pretending to be the truckers. It's hard to tell. Who's ramming? I've been rammed too many times over these last couple weeks. And there's 20 seconds of somebody blowing their nose. And then there's apparently stretches of actual conversation about how to protect the trucks. And then there's an exchange like, I feel like some bukkake is needed. I don't know about you guys. Oh, for fuck's sake, you're out of here. You're another one of them ranchers. And then somebody says, at this point, I think it's a lot of ranchers.
Meanwhile, I have that guitar riff stuck in my head. That is catchy.
A woman tells a heartfelt story about her protester boyfriend facing verbal abuse and fearing that the protest is going to implode if they don't figure out a plan. Then there's the sound of somebody flushing a toilet. Oh, there's a clip. Oh, somebody clipped it. Okay, holy shit.
It's come to my attention that this group has been infiltrated. They set out to have one goal in mind, and the goal kind of worked its way in the inner circle, and it actually worked. Didn't actually think it was going to work. It was kind of a little too easy, if I'm being quite honest.
Cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch on the beach. Wanted to suck cowboy cocks. Ram. 18 naked cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch. Big head driving.
It's amazing.
It's so Canadian too. They're like, yeah, somebody infiltrated. And it worked. Holy shit. So yeah. The protest is not going very well, as the Canadian government also encloses in imposing a state of emergency on them for blocking the roads without the proper permits. You know, it's very like you hear about state of emergency over here, you know, and it's like, oh, like there was a terrible storm, you know, power lines are down, or it's like, oh yeah, we've got this worldwide epidemic, you know, so state of emergency is in place, and then the Canadians issue one.
You have a trucker blockade.
There's a trucker convoy blockade going on.
I think the next step for the protesters here should be to sort of reclaim or sort of claim Ram Ranch as their own. And they can sort of, they can rendezvous there.
Right. Somebody was interested in going to the Ram Ranch.
Exactly. So I think that needs to be their new meeting place, their new base, where they can formulate their next steps. Yeah, because they're in some trouble here.
Yeah. The problem is that, so you hadn't even heard of this, and this has kind of been going on for several weeks now. And the one of the big issues is that it seems to me that even like Canadians don't give a shit about this, and it's mostly Americans that care, especially the American right, who seems to be the people that are funneling money to this.
Yeah, because this feels very much like a conservative American story, right?
Yes.
Like the antics, the antics of it.
Yes, they're latching onto it very deeply. They stand with the truckers, all this shit, this Canadian tyranny that's happening where there's these mandates, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, it's all very ridiculous. And they don't know how to operate technology. They might know how to drive the trucks, but they do not know how to operate technology. And so they are easily trolled. So yeah, so that's what's going on with the Canadian truckers right now.
A lot of problems in Canada.
Yeah, they're not having the best time.
I saw last night Austin Matthews rammed his face into the crossbar on his own.
Yeah, on his own. It was unprovoked. Yeah, nobody touched him. Yeah.
No.
We do have another no fucking thanks. So let's just segue into that since it's kind of related. Whoops. Nope. There we go. As if that matters. If it matters what grunting sounds I play. Now, did you watch the Super Bowl?
I am happy to report that I did not watch the Super Bowl this year.
Yes, good for you, because that was the right thing to do.
Did you?
I watched it, yes.
Oh, okay. So this is like the inverse of last year, where I actually did watch it and you stayed far away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we have to alternate. We have to alternate every year now.
That's true. Yeah. I was not going to watch the Tom Brady Super Bowl, so.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Which is the main reason why I did not watch last year.
I do think it's very funny, not to get into any actual football talk because, who cares? But yeah, I think it's very funny that the year Matthew Stafford leaves Detroit, he just goes all the way to win the Super Bowl.
It's absolutely hilarious. Yeah. But the Super Bowl and everything surrounding it is so incredibly bleak.
Mm-hmm.
It was astounding to watch, like, absolutely everything surrounding the game, and then the product of the game itself that they're trying to sell you. Like everything from the crypto commercials, right,
mm-hmm.
to the gambling commercials, to just the absolute divide in the classes of the country were on full display. It was really astounding. Like I didn't really pay attention to the commercials. Like I'm not a person that gives a shit about commercials. Like why am I spending time going to be excited about being sold products?
Right.
But the ones that I did catch left me like I really wanted to like start going out into the streets and smashing windows. Like that's how like angry I was getting.
I heard it was a lot of crypto and Bitcoin.
A fuck ton of crypto. They made Larry David shill for crypto.
Yeah, I saw that one. I saw that one because it aired during Big Brother this week.
Just brutal stuff. They got to Larry David, okay, who does a lot of work for the environment. He's a big environmentalist. So there's that, which is a real big bummer.
His bit in the ad though is like, I don't give a shit about crypto.
Yes, but they use that
to sell crypto.
But
really, I saw that and I thought, yeah, good for you, Larry. I take your advice.
Right, but they set it up as like he also didn't care about the telephone or electricity or the wheel or whatever.
Right, yeah.
And they're saying that crypto is just as important as things people use.
Mm-hmm.
So they turn that and say, oh yeah, this is the next thing. So that was the gist of that commercial. So that one was a bummer.
I saw the LeBron one. It aired during the hockey game last night, and
oh my god,
there was no way of knowing.
So creepy.
Yeah, it's creepy, and there was no way of knowing what it was about until the very last second when the Crypto.com logo pops up.
That's what most of them are. That's like that Matt Damon one. It could be for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought that was going to be like a Nike ad or something.
Sure.
Or Gatorade, and it's like, oh yeah, LeBron James is talking about playing basketball. Crypto.com.
Yeah.
Like what? What? But anyway, it's very creepy because they recreated 15-year-old LeBron James out of, I don't know, silly putty. It looks horrific. It looks like a disaster. It looks like the end of Annihilation. It's just horrible. It made my skin crawl.
Okay, you're
like,
exaggerating. Actually. It wasn't that bad. It looked like some fairly cheap CGI is what it looked like.
Yeah, but it's so uncanny. It's so gross. Like it doesn't look like a complete human.
Mm-hmm.
Like just ooh. We got LeBron James talking to 15-year-old NBA 2K11 LeBron James. Like it was just like God. And then Crypto.com. So all of this is going on, and then you have other commercials. Like you got an Amazon commercial with Scarlett Johansson and her dipshit husband from SNL, that Connecticut fuck.
Oh, Colin Jost.
Yeah, the most privileged piece of shit I've ever seen. And they're in this they're having extravagant meals and all this shit, and they're also just talking to their fucking Amazon device. So you have the security state, you have Amazon trying to sell you things to spy on you, and also look at the opulent wealth of these two fucking assholes. It just made me so angry, the whole thing. and they're being smarmy, they're being like this, and like I hated every bit of it. And like it's rote and trite to say that the Super Bowl is like it's just an event to sell you things. Of course it is, but it's going much deeper than that now, where they're selling you crypto, they're selling you gambling. It's like, see, you can make some money off of this, because they're targeting people that are in lower classes, looking for any kind of way to have a piece of something, right? All while we're watching the opulence on display. We're watching all the celebrities that are at the Super Bowl. The Rock has to do a WWE, he's on the field after they've already done the anthem, and he's doing a WWE SmackDown, whatever the fuck, introduction of the two teams before the game even starts. So now we're not even being sold on the game and the commercials and whatever. We're being sold some kind of ticket out of poverty, and we're also being shoved celebrities in their faces. The Rock isn't even there to promote anything. He's just there to promote himself, because that fucker is going to run for office in like another 2 years. Like, it's just also obvious, and it's getting disgusting. And I think you could tell the anger that is actually seeping out of me at this point.
Oh yeah, I'm just kind of letting you have a floor here, because I hear you, but I'm not going to get in your way.
Like, just absolutely everything about it. And then even the game itself, the game was such an afterthought, which is whatever, fine, I don't give a shit. But then you're being sold individual players, and not even their abilities. You're being sold on their brands. Whatever, like they don't introduce themselves anymore. They just are introduced with their signature. Like they're like you're already have to like being sold their memorabilia or something like that. Like you're being sold on their individual brands now. And then of course it'll shift to a commercial of maybe that player is on, he is selling some bullshit. Whether it is crypto or whether it is just a conventional fucking product you can buy. And it just all felt so disgusting in such a deep way. And it really highlighted the absolute class divide that is only getting wider. And this is only serving to widen that gap even further, because the people that are buying into the fucking gambling bullshit and the crypto bullshit are only inflating the people that are already holding the bag.
Yes.
And that is the only thing that is happening. You are not going to get rich gambling. You're not going to get rich on crypto. The only people that are getting rich are the fucking people that already have the cash.
If you have a gambling addiction, you basically can't like watch television or like consume any sort of media with advertisements, because they are everywhere.
No, it's insane. It's insane. And I don't mean to sound like some kind of weird puritanical prude. I don't give a shit if people gamble. I don't care. It's their money. But just the absolute prevalence of it, where Drew Brees can go from retiring to immediately shilling for gambling apps while he's still on NBC calling broadcast games. It feels like there is like the NFL is now also just wrestling. Like it feels like the storylines are already in place and they just have to execute it.
Well, you have like heroes and villains and whatnot.
Heroes and villains storylines.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell where it's going to go from the drop.
Sure.
Me and my dad were watching the second quarter, and it felt like the Rams had intentionally like eased up on the gas.
Ooh.
And the Bengals got back into the game off a turnover, and so we're like, okay, now the Bengals are going to take the lead, and then like we saw the script. We saw the script in play, and then it happened. And just the weirdness of the broadcast, where there was this, I don't know if you saw like the just a flagrant uncalled offensive pass interference.
I did not see a single down of that game.
Okay. Well, anyway, at this, it was either in the second or third quarter, just a really awful missed offensive pass interference where the receiver literally yanked on a guy's face, on the cornerback's face mask, and it was like a 70-yard touchdown. No flag, no review, nothing. It was absolutely ridiculous. And we didn't even get to see a review of the touchdown at first until after the extra point. And it felt like the NFL was like quickly hiding what had just happened. It was so strange. It was like I was watching doctored footage. And it's like you can tell that there's going to be point shaving, fixing, whatever now, the gambling is this proliferated. There's going to be fucking griminess to it.
Yeah, I mean, to add to that, like, it almost makes it even more believable when you think how most Super Bowls are really bad games. Like, they're usually one-sided and blowouts and stuff. And this is like the first Super Bowl in a long time that's come down to the very end.
Yeah, and even so, it came down to the very end also with like 4 penalties in a row that were basically even up calls. Even though they were the correct calls, they were basically even up calls for the gigantic missed call earlier in the game. And that's because they didn't call a penalty until the fourth quarter. There was no penalties at all.
Not a single one.
No, they completely swallowed the whistles.
Wow.
Completely.
They saved it until they were the most consequential.
Until they were the most consequential, and they were evened up for the complete blown call.
Yikes.
Earlier in the game. So, like, even though there might have been some kind of script or whatever, you know, for the storylines that the league wanted to have set in place, then the refs had to adjust on the fly to make it seem like, you know, they had to fix their fuck up in the script, basically. Like, it just felt so, it was like I was watching some kind of Truman Show thing where it's like, nope, you can't look at that part. Nope, you can't look at the seams here. And then you have like other things where like, you know, like the medical tents, the concussion protocol tents that they have on the field for games now.
Sure.
Those magically disappear for the Super Bowl. They don't give a shit anymore. What's his face? Cooper Kupp, like the MVP of the game, before he caught the game-winning touchdown, he was completely blasted in the head, and he played the next play, which was the game-winning touchdown.
Wow.
In the regular season, he would have been yanked.
Yeah, you have to at least take a couple plays
protocol.
out to clear.
That doesn't exist anymore in the Super Bowl.
Huh. It's very bleak.
They create a story out of it. It's completely bleak. It's disgusting. And everything felt cynical. Like everything. Like they were singing, I don't know the song. It's either like a before the game, some kind of like slave spiritual or like historical, like something like that before the game. It's like no, see, no, look, not racist. The NFL not racist. This you may have heard a thing. Ignore that.
Speaking of the NFL and its racism, I did hear about the halftime show stuff where they tried to moderate what the performers could or could not say or do. Like Eminem was intending to take a knee during the performance, and the NFL warned him not to, but he did it anyway, which is awesome.
Yeah.
There was also like a weird, well, I won't say weird, it's pretty much expected at this point, but Kendrick Lamar performs, and one of his lyrics was like, hate the police, and they censored that on the broadcast.
Yes. And they censored some N-words, but some got through. It was, they did not know how to approach any of that. Yeah. Like, it was so obvious.
That does seem to have been the one sort of shining aspect of the whole night, because a lot, like, so that the group of performers, like the who was there? It was Eminem, it was like Dr. Dre, it was Mary J. Blige,
50 Cent, Kendrick Lamar.
I feel like we are just like a few years younger than the target audience there.
I mean, 50 Cent was big whenever we were like in middle school.
Yeah, you know? Okay, that's fair. But anyway, my point is that like for the target demo, which is like, I guess, older millennials. Yeah. This seemed to have really hit hard. Yeah. Like people were loving it, which is cool.
And I was kind of like, man, 50 Cent looks old, you know, like.
Oh, and Snoop Dogg was there.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg. It's like, yeah, they look old as fuck. Yeah. Like. They look old as fuck. But yeah. See, people seem. I thought it was fine. You know, like it wasn't the like just offensive blandness of like Maroon 5 or whatever the fuck.
Oh God, yeah.
Or what's his face? The guy that tries to do the Michael Jackson shit.
Oh, The Weeknd?
No, I didn't see that one.
That was pretty good. I like that
one. Bruno Mars.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Bruno Mars.
That shit is just like so. That's like so corporately bland that it's like actually offensive. Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was fine. you know.
Yeah, I feel like I won Sunday night. So for whatever reason, CBS decided to air a new episode of Celebrity Big Brother alongside the Super Bowl. So I was thankful for that, even though honestly the season has been an absolute shit show. So I watched that. That was cool. They like actively made references to the Super Bowl during it. It's like, you're not going to want to miss this house drama, even though no matter what other game is on the other channel or whatever. And then I checked out Starstruck, this series on HBO Max, which was an absolute delight. Highly recommend that. So yeah, I had a very pleasant Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, even though it pulled this deep anarchist anger out of me, you know, this whole fucking thing. Like I still had it on the background. Like I was playing SMT at the same time. You know, like I'm not like paying attention to this shit too much. And even so, like that's how permeated this garbage was.
Yeah, because like really,
I'm not even watching it.
Yeah, like it's designed this night, this block of television that is the Super Bowl is designed to have your attention nonstop for the entire time, because you go from the game to the advertisements to the halftime show to more advertisements. You know, it's all just it's designed in that specific way. Mm-hmm. And it's and with the content that we saw laid out here, it's very dystopian.
It truly is. It's such a like I can't compare it to some recent years because I really haven't been paying attention. But yeah, this felt so fucking bleak. Mm-hmm. So yeah. We do have a couple more here.
You know, I just realized part of the sort of dystopian nightmare of the Super Bowl you're talking about was like the surveillance state with like Amazon ads and whatnot. Mm-hmm, and it's like, here I am, one channel down watching Big Brother.
Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, it's rough. Yeah. It's rough. Anyway.
So this next one is quite similar to the Jodorowsky Dune situation, where some crypto bros think that just because they have purchased a thing, they can turn it into an NFT and make money off of it, just completely ignoring any sort of copyright, IP, legal, any kind of protections whatsoever. So there is a group of these chuds called Magic the Gathering DAO, and so their whole thing is to turn Magic the Gathering into NFTs. And their whole thing seems to be that, like, since they purchased the cards, they have the right to do this.
Here we go again.
just purchasing the cards, like not no rights, you know. Like not even purchasing like a lore book or some kind of original draft like the Dune thing, just because they have purchased packs of cards and they own physical cards, thinks that they have the right to then turn those same cards into tokenized bullshit on the blockchain. And so, of course, they're on Twitter and they say, Wizards of Coast sent us a very polite email saying they consider our use of NFTs as depicted in the Magic the Gathering DAO white paper to be unlawful IP infringement. They hint at their own NFT plans and ask that we don't launch Magic the Gathering DAO. And so then they attach the email. And it is the most polite way to say, don't fucking do this or we're going to blast your ass with lawsuits. Sure. Dear Madam or Sir, we are the counsel for Wizards of the Coast LLC, the owner, as you obviously know, of the copyrights and trademarks for Magic the Gathering trading card game. We write because Wizards recently became aware of your white paper describing a potential MTG DAO project that would combine cryptocurrency and NFT technology to create a new scarce Magic format for playing the game Magic the Gathering. And it goes on. Your enthusiasm for Magic the Gathering is evident and appreciated. The team at Wizards is also impressed by the work you have put into developing a new format for playing Magic the Gathering. Unfortunately, your intended use of Wizards' intellectual property, including its trademarks and copyright, would be unlawful. You appear to be operating under the mistaken assumption that the project would be legal because you would allow the reproduction of Magic cards in the form of NFTs only by a player who had purchased a physical card, a card on Arena, which is the digital Magic the Gathering game, or a card on Magic the Gathering. I'm not sure which that one is. This is not correct. It is the exclusive right of the copyright owner to reproduce the copyrighted work, such as a Magic card, in any format. While there is an exception in the copyright statute for making a backup or archival copy in some circumstances, quote, this privilege extends only to computer programs and not to other types of work. See, for example, the U.S. Copyright Office frequently asked questions on copyrights in digital files. While Wizards is currently evaluating its future plans regarding NFTs and Magic the Gathering cards, no decision has been made at this time. Use of NFTs in connection with Wizards' intellectual property is therefore strictly prohibited. As a fan of Magic the Gathering, we trust you. We trust your understanding Wizards' need to protect its intellectual property. Although Wizards is continuously amazed at its community's creativity and engagement, they have to protect their IP if they want to keep the rights, keep the lights on them. Sorry.
That was so polite.
Yeah. There's one more part here. On behalf of Wizards, we ask that you refrain from implementing your idea for a Magic the Gathering DAO that relies on the unlawful reproduction and use of Wizards' IP, and do not hesitate to contact. And this dude doesn't even like blur out the email. I guess it's all public. It's a law office that had contacted them, that is on retainer from fucking Wizards of the Coast. So yeah, it is very polite, way too polite than what this deserves. But they're gonna get completely destroyed if they attempt to actually make this. And the tweet that they posted, they posted the screenshots of the email. It's like they hint at their own NFT plans. Meanwhile, the quote is that they're discussing it and they have not made any plans. It's like, oh, they're hinting that they're really going to do it, so they're trying to shut me down so they could do it. It's like, no, you just can't. You have no rights. Literally, you have no rights to do this.
Yeah. They could do it if they want to. That wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. And they have this gigantic thread about why they're fine doing this. But it's like, it's complete bullshit. Our vision for Magic the Gathering DAO is similar to local game store. Here we would host tournaments, fund writers, and sponsor players. A DAO is the primary community building tool of Web3. To forbid a Magic DAO is to forbid any authentic presence in Web3. And they say not going to make it, which is their stupid slogan for people that don't believe in crypto.
Do they have enough Bitcoin to purchase Wizards of the Coast? Because then I think they're in the clear.
I doubt it. They'd probably need because Wizards of the Coast owns Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, lots of other RPG and board games. And D&D has never been more popular. I really doubt that they, even if they had the funds, could purchase Wizards of the Coast. But yeah, these are just people that like the card game, like crypto, and decided to just do this shit on their own. And they're calling themselves, a company or whatever.
It's just this mad scramble across the board to see who can cash in the easiest way possible, the quickest. And it's just a disaster.
Yeah. They saying that their NFTs are a protocol used to track card scarcity. Yeah, you don't, why do you need the blockchain for any of that? Like Wizards of the Coast produces the cards. I'm pretty sure they have an idea of how many cards they produce and the rarity of specific cards. I'm pretty sure they have a handle on that. So I don't. Who are you? Who are you to stick your nose in? It's just basically, this whole thing is just basically oh yeah, they need to get involved in Web3, blah 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 blah. NFTs are great. But it's like, no, you can't.
Well, we appreciate your enthusiasm.
You can't do this.
And we like that you're such big fans.
And then it's just people making fun of them. It's like, yeah, you don't have the IP. But then you see one monkey avatar. It's like, clearly this wouldn't detract from sales of the card game. It's like, why wouldn't it? You're recreating the cards. Why wouldn't it? Literally. So dumb. They keep trying this shit. It's like, no, just because you purchase a product does not mean you have any sort of rights to reproduce the product. It does not grant that under any circumstance. Just because you bought the monkey JPEG and the monkey JPEG says that you have the commercial rights to it, because why wouldn't, why would anybody want the monkey rights? You can do whatever you want with your fucking monkey. That's not how actual products work.
You can take your monkey to Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah. But so that's the thing that these
or Jimmy Fallon
are taking. Yeah, whichever. Who gives a fuck? The monkey JPEG says yeah, you can commercialize your ape And so you have full commercial rights to the ape that you purchase. It's like, okay, it's like, yeah, you can make t-shirts or whatever. It's like, who wants a t-shirt of your monkey?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like gorillas, they've been pretty successful.
Yeah, but these monkeys are all the same fucking
That's
monkey. Like the gorillas was like, and they also produced music that people enjoyed. So you would buy merch of any artist that you enjoyed. The monkey is just the fucking monkey. It's just a picture of a monkey. So why would anybody want a t-shirt of your thing? Maybe you want a t-shirt. You can print your own t-shirt. But why would anybody else buy that? And so that's why you see like some idiots made a show out of the monkeys that they bought.
Oh, trying to add like some personality to them and some selling value.
Yeah. And it's the worst thing I've ever seen. I couldn't get through 15 seconds of it. It's on YouTube. I don't even know what it's called, but it's horrible. Horrible. But it's like, yeah, of course you have the rights to that. Whatever. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody wants it. So of course the Bored Apes will give you the rights. Of course they will, because they know it's meaningless. But yeah, you can't buy a pack of Magic the Gathering cards and then redistribute those online or sell them online as your own project like that. No. You could say it's an NFT. You could say it's crypto. You could call it whatever you want. No, you have no right to do that. You can't buy a book and recreate it or make a movie off of it. That you don't have the rights to do any of that. It does not work like that. So, you put one in here.
I did. We have sort of a story that would fit under the no fucking thanks banner or could also be part of Dating is Dead.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's this headline, romance scammers, aka catfish, collected $139 million in crypto last year. And that's significant because, well, for a couple of reasons. One, it's a pretty big jump from the year before. Five times more actually than in 2020. And it also accounts for more money than any other form of payment that was used in like these catfish scams. So yeah, the total amount of money that was lost through crypto payments was 139 million, and that's out of a total of 547 million that was lost through like all different forms of payments, like gift cards and just like straight up like you know, like PayPal, whatever.
Yeah, the gift card scams are the big
so
one.
It's interesting. The gift card scams account for the largest volume of scams, right? So they're the most commonly used payment method, but the victims have lost less money on average than those who have fallen to the crypto scams.
It's probably due to the protections of the gift cards. Like the retailers are aware of all the gift card scams, and so like it's so fucking hard to get high gift card amounts like anywhere. Like I was trying to buy gift cards, I think through Amazon or something, and like I couldn't. I was actually trying to buy Best Buy cards through Amazon. It was a long story, but they were rejecting my shit. They just like wouldn't let me buy the gift cards. So there's a lot of protections out there on the gift cards because they are such a source of abuse and scam that the retailers are aware of it, and they. FTC and other governmental agencies try to get the word out about gift card scams, and like I think even like a lot of like physical retailers will have like signs posted like, hey, are you like being scammed? And like because a lot of times like the phone scams like with like the tech things where like they prey on old people and say that you need to go grab a bunch of gift cards at the drugstore. Will like keep you on the phone and like you put the phone in your purse or whatever, almost like a hostage situation, and crazy shit like that. So like a lot of stores will put up little signs that say like, hey, are you being scammed? Is like somebody telling you like, and they'll like list some common phrases that the scammers are using, and it's like you might be in trouble. It's like just like kind of like blink at the cashiers, like shit like that, almost like what's it called? Almost like the bartender thing where like if like a woman's being harassed by somebody, they're like certain like phrases that bartenders are supposed to be aware of to like help out like a woman that's being harassed by some dipshit. So like there's supposed they try to protect gift cards in a lot of ways. So the rise in crypto makes a lot of sense because it's probably a lot harder or getting harder at least for the gift card scams to.
So you're saying it's probably
place.
going to raise a red flag if somebody tries to buy a gift card for $9,770, right? Because that
Usually,
is
yeah.
the average amount of money that a victim of a crypto scam from a catfish lost last year.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, this was from an FTC report. So just something to be aware of, in case you are on the Tinders or whatnot.
See, that's the other thing. It's like it's so untraceable. It's like, yeah, it's like you're anonymous, and it's like, no, you're being tracked. The FTC knows these transactions. The IRS is wise to these transactions. Like most of these exchanges, you have to supply your information, or they won't let you onto the platform now to comply with state and federal regulations. You have to give sometimes your driver's license or social security or tax ID number. They know who the fuck you are if you're trading this shit.
Did you know that wire transfers are still
It
a
is
thing?
not. Yeah, because like people have to send money to different countries.
So that
right?
accounted for 93 million of the 500 plus. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those kind of scams, they target like immigrants and things like that, where people would be sending money to relatives in other countries. I think is a big one there.
And then the FTC notes some red flags here, and they also alert you to some of the strategies you can take. And one of them is just the tactic that was used on the Catfish TV show, which is just a reverse image search. That's like all that show was.
Yeah. Yeah, if you think that handsome guy was, might be too good to be true, then just see if that's a real picture. It's actually crazier now because there's the whole... they're not like quite deep fakes, but the whole "this person does not exist." You know that thing? Okay, so there's a site called like this person doesn't exist, and it basically just generates. Where is it? There it is. This person does not exist, and you go to the site and you can literally just keep refreshing it, and it generates photos of people based off of like common traits and photographs that are like in the public whatever, and it. Each time is like a different person. Like, see, like here, you could even just try it out right now, like I did. So that makes it easier actually to create like catfish accounts because they don't just go find a supermodel. They just keep refreshing until they get something that looks, pretty, handsome, conventionally attractive.
This reminds me of
as the profile
sort of like
picture.
the inverse of this TikTok trend that's happening right now that has had some very creepy results where it's like this thing where it's like you can have the camera on your face and it'll show you like which two celebrities you are the offspring of, right? You've seen some of those?
Yeah.
It's like some
I've
really
seen that around,
some really creepy results that look very, very accurate.
Yeah. Well, that was the big thing. Like whenever TikTok was first like getting on the scene, and people were kind of wary of it because it's like a Chinese app. It's because they're using all that facial data. They're using all of it, and that's only like it's only going to get better because of the absolutely massive user base. So. Yeah, it's freaky.
But yeah, just something to keep an eye on here. I feel like I don't know what would stop this trend here of continuing to climb higher, right? Like at the end of this year, you'll probably see an even larger number of scams from crypto.
Probably, yeah. Did you happen to see on the Netflix the Tinder
No, but my
swindler
favorite
thing?
tweet that I've seen in a while was somebody said the Tinder swindler was fantastic in Memoria, which is the movie starring Tilda Swinton. Yeah.
Anyway, I got through half of it before I fell asleep. I have to finish it. It's a documentary about basically these woman got catfished by a notorious con artist who said that he was like this diamond heir to like this billionaire diamond magnate, and was like flying them all over the place and taking them on these extravagant dates and blah 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 blah. But he was also like saying that he was in danger, and the scam was that since he was in danger, they needed to sign up for credit cards that he would use, and then he would keep charging the cards on these like extravagant vacations he was going on with other women. And then he would like he took made the women take out loans in order to pay for these cards, just like crazy shit. And he could make it seem like he was wealthy because he was siphoning cash from other women, even though he was just some nobody from Israel, I think, actually. But yeah, like just this ridiculous.
I don't know if
con
it's
artist.
true or not. Like this guy could, for all I know, be in jail. But I did see that. Like, is it possible that he's charging $200 on Cameo for you to make a cameo to request one?
I have no. I didn't finish the documentary. I don't know
because somebody said that on Twitter.
I have
and
no
like,
idea
this
if he's out
I
and
just
about.
hate society so much.
Who knows at this point? You know, or maybe it's a lookalike, or it could be the guy. It could be the guy. I don't know. If he's in jail, then that would be ridiculous if they let him access a phone. But yeah, I've got no idea. I have to finish that up. But yeah, because like he was meeting the women on Tinder is the thing. That's where, you know. But yeah, that's no fucking thanks for this week. Little all over the place, very dystopian. But yeah, what are you gonna do? So we need to get into this movie.
Okay, are you are you prepared to, or because the way we left this last night, I'm not sure.
So we were supposed to watch Coda for this week, and I got a copy of the movie, you know, and like as we've discussed, I prefer to watch the movie like the day before we record, so it's fresh, and so I hadn't checked out the download I got.
This is, in case it's not clear, this is not downloaded directly from Apple TV+.
Yeah, don't let Tim Cook know about that, though. Like, let's be cool here.
Hey, that's where I watched it, so I'm in the clear.
Yeah. And so I thought everything was fine. It looked fine. You know, it was it said it was a 1080p Blu-ray rip. So I was like, okay, cool. And it opens up, and the title and like the production by is in Italian. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know this was Italian.
Yeah, because you texted me. You were like, I forget exactly what you said, but
I was like, is this
financed in Italy?
Yeah, financed in Italy by.
And I'm like, I don't understand the
like,
reference that you're talking about here.
What the fuck are you talking about? And I'm like, okay, well, something's up. It's like, oh, I didn't know this was an Italian movie. But then I was like, oh, they're speaking English. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
Oh, this is Boston.
I was like, oh, maybe it was. I was like, oh, maybe it was just financed, you know, and they put the, you know, some European whatever production company.
This is very much Massachusetts.
I know, but still, you never know who makes these. And so the movie, I guess we'll get into, concerns a deaf family, and so of course they're using American Sign Language to communicate. And so I'm watching the movie, and I'm like, okay, you know, sign language. All right, I can't read sign language.
Maybe that was like a directorial choice, right? Like maybe that was.
So I'm like, is this on purpose? Where you know, like you have to infer what's being communicated. Like, are you meant to feel like a deaf person feels whenever they can't hear somebody speak? Is that what they're?
Which
going
really
for?
would make no sense because the point of view character in this movie speaks sign language. So.
Yeah. So it's like, okay. I'm like, all right, you know, it's like, oh, they're having an argument. Okay, got it. You know, and then sometimes the character that can translate for them will speak what they either said, sort of, or will say what she has just signed to them. And so I'm like, okay, you know, like I'm kind of inferring the tone of a lot of these conversations, but I feel like I'm really missing a lot of context here. I feel like this is a lot of dialogue. And so then I text you and I'm like, hey, is this supposed to have subtitles? Because I feel like I'm missing something here. And yeah, it turns out the sign language is supposed to be full of subtitles.
Absolutely,
in the movie. So I was like, fuck. Because at that point I had seen about 30 minutes of the movie.
Amazing.
So yeah, so then I had a choice. And then I was like, okay, so I gotta find some subtitles. And it's like, well, do I really rewatch the first 30 minutes, or do I, you know, just keep trucking? And what's funny is I remember downloading it, and I remember it had a subtitles folder.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because I usually grab the subs anyway, especially because the files are so small. Even if I don't use them, even if it's like a fully, English language movie, just in case, like I might miss something like that I can't, sound mixing, whatever. I like to have subtitles just in case. So I always download the subtitles if they're available. But they didn't work the first time. So I had to figure out the file, and then I had to like manually tell it like, no, hey, use these subtitles, please. So I did finish the movie.
You finished from the 30-minute mark with the
from the 30-minute mark. Alrighty. I didn't go back and rewatch. I was in the middle of a scene, so I went back to the beginning of the scene. Because what I was in was like I truly had no idea what the conversation was about. I had nothing. So I was like, okay, I'll go back that far. But I'm not gonna, rewatch.
Yeah, I'm not gonna complain here because like this is me choosing a movie every week that you are obligated to watch. So like I don't want to be like annoying about it. So yeah, we'll just roll with it.
Yeah. So yeah, like you offered to sort of take the reins. Like I did see it's a 2-hour movie, so I saw most of it with the way it was intended. But also you could argue that this gave me an interesting perspective on the
could argue that
on the circumstances of the deaf family, because I could not
I'd
parse their full communication. I had to use full body language, and so what they were emoting without having the actual translation for me. So,
So, yeah, you gain that, but you also lose the context of everything they're saying.
Yes. For the first
So there's a give and take there.
Give and take. That's why I was like, it was intentional, that's why I had to ask. I had to. Because you never know with a lot of these movies whether, they're making a choice like that. Some, like, not, if there's movie where there's some dialogue that is in like not the language that's the majority of the movie, sometimes it's not subtitled, just for you are supposed to infer what was said, and of course if you know the language then you have a leg up. So there are circumstances.
In fact,
like
a fellow Best Picture nominee, West Side Story, did that, where they consciously decided not to have subtitles for either the English or the Spanish dialogue, and there's quite a bit of both.
So and I could without even seeing it know the purpose of that, right? It's the two different families and things like So this gave me a perspective, maybe.
Yeah. So
anyway.
So yeah, we have Coda here, nominated for a bunch of awards, including Best Picture at the Oscars. It's also up for adapted screenplay. It's up for screenplay at the BAFTAs, as well as at the Critics' Choice Movie Awards. It's directed by Sion Heder. I believe this is her directorial debut. She's from Massachusetts originally, and I also thought noteworthy that she is a graduate of Carnegie Mellon over in the Berg. Yeah. So yeah, this movie follows, it's a coming of age story. Main character is a high schooler named Ruby, and she is the only member of her family who is able to hear. The rest of her parents and her brother are all deaf. And so she's working with her family on like a fishing boat in Massachusetts. But meanwhile, she's also in high school, and she decides on a whim to join the choir because she has a crush on a classmate, and she also loves to sing. Like, she sings on the boat, sings all the time. It's like her passion, right? And so this movie's
did she
following.
join because of the crush? I thought she just joined mostly for the singing.
Well, I mean, it's mostly for the singing, but you see her and her friend trying to choose an elective, right? And they're waiting in line to sign up for an elective, and they're talking about, I think her friend's talking about the easiest one to take would be like film studies or something. But then she sees this guy sign up for choir, and sort of on an impulse, she walks over and signs up. So I kind of took that to mean that she was,
okay.
This scene happens in the first 30 minutes. So I'm not sure how much of that.
Well, yes, but they were speaking. I remember this. I remember that. I just thought that she was signing up for choir.
No. I don't mean to make it sound like that's the sole purpose. She very much has a passion for it. That is the driving force of like her commitment to singing and all of that.
Yeah, I just didn't pick up on that little bit.
Yeah, I think the initiation of it, the thing that like willed her to sort of take that step of signing up in the first place, is just that classmate, right? I see. So she's doing that. There's some conflict involving the community of fishermen and the people that they sell their fish to, and they're getting ripped off, and they're trying to like sort of like almost unionize, or even just like break off and sell fish on their own. And like the leaders of this are her father and brother. So like there's those two things happening at once. She's like training as a singer, and she's being encouraged by her teacher to like apply for Berkeley for college for singing. But she's also like a very crucial member of the fishing crew with her family, because she's the ears. She's the person that can hear the radio and her surroundings, and she can interpret and translate for her family. So she's very much needed there too. So she's kind of being pulled in two different directions, and things kind of come to a head there. All this is to say though, like this movie, when you step back and look at it, is very, very conventional. As a coming of age story, it hits a lot of the beats that you would expect it to hit. It's just like that. The one big difference here is this family dynamic, and how, you know, the family and being like a hearing member of a deaf family sort of like changes the relationship, and like puts a strain on ambitions, and sort of like, you know, breaking away from what you've known your entire life. Really, it's a very like traditional film, but the one big difference is that dynamic of having a deaf family, right? Like that's the one thing that really sets it apart in a lot of ways from other coming of age films.
Right.
There was one Letterboxd review, which, as I continue to ramble, I think it I think this would really sum it up better. It's from David Ehrlich, the IndieWire film critic. He said, let me just pull it up real quick. Oh no, where'd it go? Yeah, so he said, he was like, the specific pleasure of watching a good movie get away with the kind of bullshit that usually makes you want to vomit. A very touching addition to that beloved subgenre of Sundance experience. So this was like a big hit at Sundance, I think in the beginning of 2021. But yeah, like I think that hits the nail on the head there, right? Like it's doing all these things, like it's sort of like verging on manipulating the viewer emotionally. It's hitting like, it's, you know, the heartstrings. It's doing a lot of those things, but it's effective, right? I mean, at least I think so. I don't know how you feel about this film. I should turn it over to you to see what you think.
Okay.
See, I took a risk here, I think, with this choice here. I love this film a lot. I'm definitely rooting for it to win awards. I liked it. I was very moved by it when I saw it last summer. I didn't expect it to get the recognition that it's gotten, and I'm very happy about that. However, choosing this movie for this podcast specifically, and knowing like the sort of perspective that you bring, and the sort of, I don't want to say like cynical, but like, I guess like
you know that I'm an asshole
I mean, you said it, not me, right? So
it's the problem.
I definitely feel like I was taking a chance exposing this film to this podcast.
Yeah. I don't want to be mean.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't want to. But I don't get it.
Okay.
I don't get why this is like up for a best picture.
Okay.
Because I've seen scores of slice of life anime that are basically this. Because the thing with like something like a slice of life anime is that like it has to differentiate itself from all the other ones, right? So it needs the gimmick, it needs the hook. It's like this is going to be a slice of life or a romance, but this. And so That's what this is. This is a slice of life.
Well, to call it a gimmick is very
unfair,
I think.
Yes, but I'm using like an anime term, right? Because this is the closest parallel I can get. Because some of the beats are like, oh my god. So like the hook here is that this is gonna be your standard feel good whatever, but they're deaf, and that's basically it.
Okay.
Like, that's it.
Well, to say that's it sort of dismisses the significance of that, because this is not something that you see very much in film. The sort of representation side of it.
Yeah, but then why does it need to, like, cling so hard to those tropes? Like, you can... I literally had mapped out the entire movie basically starting at that half hour mark.
Yeah, well, I don't think that... See, I don't view that as a negative. Like, because I feel like...
I'm not saying there needs to be, ridiculous plot twists or whatever, but it's like... I don't know why they needed this vehicle, like, of a script that, basically wrote itself.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's a tough
I knew
statement
lines
for me,
they were going to pull out.
Uh-huh.
Like just all the same beats, like...
I see. Like I feel like it's
singing, It felt too trite and saccharine, however you say that fucking word. Like, it's like too. Bleh.
So to say that the screenplay wrote itself is rough, because it is using those beats. It's relying on them. It's obviously it's structured around them, but having the family dynamic at play here, I feel like it just uses every opportunity to tie into those in very clever ways. And like, it's fine that this movie was predictable and hits those beats that we've seen before, because it does it effectively. It comes across as genuine rather than trying to like be a copy of things that we've seen so many times before. It has like an actual, sort of heart to it,
because
right?
if you know how you're supposed to feel at every segment of the film, it's like mapped out.
Yeah, but these are tropes for a reason. Like, they exist for a reason. They're effective for a reson. And so when you see something that's done very well... I'm
saying that it wasn't effective.
Oh, I guess that's where we sort of break off. Yeah.
Because it relies so heavily on that. It's like, if I know that she's, going to say... whatever, like the specific dynamics, like I've seen this shit, right? Like, the only thing that was keeping this from being a Hallmark movie was the fact that, like, they had better actors. Like, that is basically it. Like, even the way it's shot, like, it looks like an NBC sitcom, the way that it's shot, the coloring, the set design. Like,
man, I was expecting some pushback. I was not expecting this complete attack on this film here. Man, I mean, okay, so we get to like the last act of this film, right? And it's her high school performance, right? Like, it's her big performance, and the family shows up and attends, and they're watching it. And as she's going for her like big like duet that she's been preparing for, the perspective shifts and the sound shuts off completely. Like, it's completely silent, and you're seeing everything through the eyes of the father, because this is like such a crucial moment where the father is like seeing his daughter and her passion and her ambition, like truly seeing that for the first time, right? Like, that's sort of what the relationship has been building to throughout the whole film. And it's complete silence. And so you're relying entirely on the visuals for a movie and a performance that's about singing. And I thought that was like so astounding. I love that so much. Like, that's just one example of like how it ties in that like sort of relationship and like stands out from like the very typical way that a scene like that would play out.
I thought they were going to do it earlier. Like, I was like, when are they going to do the thing where you're from the perspective of the parents and they can't hear anything? When are they going to do it?
But it's like, we talked about fine. Like,
it's a checkbox. It's a checkbox.
Oof, man, you're killing me here.
There was an anime movie about a deaf girl, and it's like same scene, same setup. I forget what it was called. I actually enjoyed that movie more. What is it called? A Silent Voice. And yeah, it's like I've seen this. I've seen it with like it didn't need to look like it was on Lifetime. You know, it's like really this is one of the best 10. Top 10?
Well, I mean, I don't consider the Best Picture nominees to be like representative of the best in film that year, but like for me, this legitimately is a top 10 of the year.
This feels like bait.
Ooh, wow, okay. I mean, when I think of Oscar bait, I think of like Adam McKay. I think of like
I think this is up there. It feels like bait.
Interesting.
This is
well,
this
I mean,
is,
maybe
this is,
part
this
of
is
it
the
is
one.
like
This is the racism movie this year. This is the.
Ooh, you did that. You just went there, didn't you? You just compared this to Green Book.
Like they do this. This is what they do. They got to trot out one. So okay, this is the deaf people movie.
Holy hell! Oh man. I mean, I dug my own grave here. Like I even mentioning this film's existence on this podcast was a mistake. And you really hit me hard with the Green Book there, because you know how much I despise that whole ordeal. No, this year's Green Book is very much Don't Look Up. It's the look at climate change, look how important this is, and look at all the rich white people that are aware of it and want you to be aware of it. That's this year's Green Book. Don't get that twisted. That's without a doubt. Man, I don't know. I mean, coming of age is very much my favorite like genre of film. And here I just saw something that was like so wonderfully executed for me and sort of brought like a new perspective to a very tried and true formula, right? And so that really worked for me. And I guess I'll leave it at that, and you can take that as it is, or take what you will from that. But yeah, I don't know what I expected here.
I shouldn't say more because otherwise I'll just keep going in. But yeah. I'm not gonna
no, go ahead. It's your show. You might as well. It's
like it's such a feel good whatever. Like it's like eating like 10 pounds of cotton candy. It's like, oh yeah, this is great. This feels
That's
so good.
Not
in
fair,
my warm tummy.
Because there is
and
a lot.
And then you get sick.
No. There's a lot of this film that deals with like.
It's like
no.
Like
it deals with like class
it's
manipulation and like and
okay, but then they ran out of
time.
time.
What do you mean they ran out of time?
It's all tied up with a tiny little Hallmark bow. It's like great. Now they can do the fish. Even though they didn't quite solve that arc. Yeah, they could sell the fish now, even though they needed the daughter so desperately. Now they're like, oh, we can.
But isn't that
somebody.
Like no?
That was the conflict.
You make it work because the father finally saw how important this was for her to make this.
Of course they were going to, and the campy. It's like, oh, they snuck into the theater so they could see her do the super secret audition. You know, and the teacher's there, you know, and like it's like
oh yeah, the audition at Berkeley where she's sort
rainbows.
of choking, and then they come in and then she signs out the rest of the performance. See, that was deeply moving.
Oh my god, it's Puppies and Rainbows. It's Free Willy.
That's the thing. Like I feel like in any
it's like no, you could have replaced this movie with an animal,
Ooh.
you know, and it would be laughed at.
No,
right?
no. See, that's
like.
No, you.
But for whatever reason, it's like this is.
No,
this
I think
is it. This
part
is
of what you're saying there
and I'm like sitting
is
here
very
like I'm
true,
crazy.
Which is that in any other lesser hands, this would have been Hallmark nonsense. But there's something about this movie that works.
They're identical. No, I feel like I'm a crazy person. Because this is indistinguishable from that. You could put this on Hallmark. And it would be the same.
You know what this is right here?
Thing.
This is cinema. Okay, this is cinema, and I'm standing on that mountain. Okay, this is cinema, and that's all there is to it.
It was shot like an NBC sitcom.
No, it was wonderfully directed. I thought it was. You know. I mean, there's a reason it's up for the screenplay awards and not the directing awards, because I think that's where the standout is.
That one's a joke. Okay, that one's a joke. It wrote itself. It wrote itself.
Okay. So yeah, Troy Kotzer, he's up for a supporting actor award. He played the father.
Also, it's adapted from a French movie.
Is it?
Yeah, then the credits.
I didn't know that.
Some French movie, yeah, adapted from the French film.
Okay.
Something.
So what's your point there? Plenty of things are adapted from other things.
Of course, but you're saying it's like, oh no, they did this original twist. It's like, no, this isn't even, it's an American remake of another movie that existed.
Okay.
Or it could have been plucked from Hallmark.
Yeah. No. Sorry. I don't know why I did this to myself or to anybody who might be listening to this.
And also, is Marlee Matlin the only deaf actress anybody, like any casting director knows?
Well, that's not fair. That's like saying like looking at like an action franchise and being like, oh, is Tom Cruise the only actor that people know?
So she's cornered the market on the only.
Well, that's obviously a problem, right?
There's not another one. They can't find somebody else.
Yeah, I mean that
She's
is.
been doing it since like the late '80s.
Well, you don't see a lot of.
There's not a single other deaf actress.
I think there need to be more movies about deaf people. Right?
There need to be better movies.
Okay. No, that's a good point, though. There definitely needs to be more representation in that area because that is a problem if you're seeing like the one.
I honestly couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. It was like, okay, a movie about deaf people. It's like, oh my god, that's Marlee Matlin.
I don't think I've seen her in anything, which is that didn't really.
Anytime any show needs an episode where they have somebody that's deaf, there she is.
Okay, I mean, she's really good,
like
so I don't know what.
Sure, but it's like, do they not know anyone else ever?
I think we're running out of time. I think we need to move on. I was going to be like, do you want to watch Nightmare Alley next week? But
sure. Sure. Because I still haven't watched it. So Tiffany Haddish.
Yeah, you've had this sitting here for a while now. This is like
I have.
This is not breaking news, but I still don't know what it is, though.
No.
So.
Okay, so Tiffany Haddish, we talked about her a little bit whenever we did the card counter.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the card counter, and she was in that movie. The same day
that looks like an NBC whatever you call this one. The way that was shot,
that looked like surveillance footage. That was. But the same day that we recorded that episode, which was January 14th, she was arrested for DUI for falling asleep in her car, which was just
happens to the best of us.
It's just a weird coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she was like on top of the yard of like some house, like because somebody called the cops on it. So she was arrested for DUI. That's the very same day that we talked about her, which is a weird coincidence. And so the day that happened, people were pulling up this GQ profile that was done on Tiffany Haddish from 2018. And I just wanted to draw attention to this weird bit where she says that she drinks turpentine.
So for those who don't know, specifically myself, what is turpentine?
Paint thinner?
Oh, okay.
So she says a teaspoon of turpentine will not kill you. The government doesn't want you to know that if you have a cold, just take some turpentine with some sugar or castor oil or honey, and it'll go away the next day. And the person that was interviewing her says, I didn't think humans could consume turpentine, which you can't. Honey, back during slavery, let me teach you something, okay? And so she believes that there are, quote, worms inside your body. And she said that she learned about the medical benefits of turpentine from YouTube and bought a bunch on Amazon. And she says that after the first time, she said everything felt so much better clarity-wise, and that she was killing the game on stage.
Oh, so this is like a pregame warm up type.
Yes.
Type thing. Yeah.
And so the person doing the profile I'll get the name in a second. Looked it up, and because she was worried that she was killing herself, and she was sent information from the U.S. National Library of Medicine, outlining the dangers of turpentine poisoning. But then whenever they talk again, she is, quote, unconcerned, and then says, quote, the government wrote it. So she says, honey. And then she says that turpentine will also make your body pass, quote, the best doo-doo of your fucking life.
That's a good benefit.
So I felt it was necessary to discuss Tiffany Haddish's, not her drinking habits, but her drinking habit of ingesting paint thinner.
Well, immediately the distrust of the government reminds me of like certain anti-vaxxers. Not anti-vaxxers, but just people that with vaccine hesitancy, right? Because historically there are plenty of legitimate reasons to distrust the government. And so obviously you have the loud, crazy anti-vaxxers that just are nuts. But then you have people with like very historically based, like real concerns about should they believe what the government's telling them. And so that kind of reminds me of like the perspective that Tiffany Haddish has here about, paint thinners, but
a lot of time that is like a familial thing. So it's like passed down where like, but she says she got this from YouTube.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, the fact that YouTube is even allowing content that says you can ingest turpentine, that's an issue on its own. Like it's the same as like the COVID cures for drinking bleach and all the other crazy shit.
Ivermectin.
Ivermectin, or the fish tank cleaning solution. That was a thing for a bit. All kinds of the stupid shit. But yeah, I've had this in the tank for a while.
She's kind of.
I just wanted to bring it up.
I mean, I'm a little bit curious after the poop cell that she was given there. That's piqued my curiosity.
Stomach probably wants to get it the fuck out, so it might just try to flush it immediately. So yeah, it might work as like a laxative. just because your body's like, no, this shouldn't be here.
This is poison,
and it's not. Yeah, and it's not gonna like absorb anything because there's no fucking like anything your body needs in turpentine. So it's gonna be like, okay, well, let's quickly shit this out, probably in a very liquid format. So yeah, I hope she's doing okay. Hope she can, stay clear of the roads. Maybe if she needs some help, get the help that she needs, because that is frightening. The fact that she just rolled up on somebody's yard.
At least she doesn't need help going to the bathroom.
Apparently not. Yeah.
So there's that.
Should we wrap up, or do I want to quickly? I watched a very creepy romance anime.
And as we learned, anime is superior to film.
No, I do think it is ignored. Like anime is there's a lot of slice of life anime that uses a lot of those same well-worn
yeah
tropes.
Well, I mean, it also reminded me when you were talking about that because you talked about Squid Game when that was popular last year, and you're like, I've seen this a million times already.
Yes.
So something that's like novel for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's like, anime's been doing this
there's also something anime does, and it sometimes gets really creepy. So this is a show called Koikimo, if I'm saying it right. Anyway, nobody should watch it. It's fucking horrible. The conceit is that a girl saves a businessman from falling down the stairs at a subway stop, and he is smitten by her, and then turns out that she is actually a friend of his little sister, and they are high school students. And so the show is about him attempting to court her.
I mean, we're one death away from Dear Evan Hansen.
Sure, but also he's not pretending to be a high school student.
Okay.
He is a businessman. He's a very important businessman. And it is quickly explained that he is 10 years older than them. And they are in their second year of high school, which in Japan means they are like a junior over here.
So we're talking like 16,
17 at the best. So that's really rough. And so I thought it might be a thing where it's like, oh, okay, are they going to address the fact that this dude is creepy as shit?
What, that this entire plot is predatory?
And no, it doesn't. It does not. And in fact, they get together at the end.
Okay.
and at the end, because she thinks he's creepy at first, and his continued pursuit of her basically wears her down to the point where she falls in love with him.
Yikes.
It is basically 12 episodes of grooming. And it ends with her admit, because nobody should watch this. I'm spoiling the whole fucking thing. Nobody should watch this shit. With her professing her love and asking if he will wait for her until she becomes an adult, is what she says exactly.
Oh no.
It's really, really bad. And it's reinforced by all of the other characters in the show. So like even her mom is fine with it. Her friend, who is the brother's, sister, is basically playing wingman, trying to get the two together. And they don't even really address the age gap until the last few episodes, where he kind of thinks like, hey, is this going to cause problems that there's a 10-year age gap between us?
Wait, so it's not even just like there's an internal conflict of, is this okay or not? It's like, will this cause problems for
her?
Oh,
so
okay.
He is concerned about her. But then his best friend, who is also an adult, convinces him that he should do it anyway, because you should, like, quote, be a good guy for once. Because he was a womanizer before he fell in love with this high school girl, and so he should.
Who would have thought?
And so he should do the right thing, which is apparently to not ditch the high school girl that is now in love with him after he groomed her, and it is to continue their romance, quote unquote romance.
So
I watched it all the way to the end because I was waiting for a turn.
Right.
I was hoping for a turn.
Right.
I was desperately pleading for a turn. Because there was another show I watched where there was a similar kind of thing with that one's even more fucked up. Well, sort of. I guess maybe not, because it's not played as a straight romance, but a show called Domestic Girlfriend.
Oh boy.
And yeah, I don't. So in that one, a high school kid has a crush on his teacher, who is an adult because she's a teacher at a high school. But a young teacher, she's in her 20s, I would imagine. I don't think it gives her actual age. Has a crush on his teacher. Then through a quick twist of fate, his father remarries, and they are now step siblings. So, but anyway, yeah.
Classic.
But then she also has a younger sister who is the same age as him. They fuck around. She becomes in love with him. All kinds of shit like that. But anyway, it almost plays that one realistically, where it's like, no, this is fucked up. You can't do this. But they do it anyway, and it's like, no, you're an adult. You shouldn't be doing, you know what I mean? So it actually goes into the issues with an adult that eventually preys on a high school student, and it gets into that.
No, but it sounds like this other one is just completely not self-aware.
It's just a straight old romance.
Wow. Have you seen this? Have you seen Real Life with the guy who's like 27? And
I have, actually. Yeah.
How does that handle that? Like, is there anything there? Because he becomes a high schooler. Again,
to explain it is a guy in his 20s is given the chance to redo his high school life, and he like takes some kind of magic pill that turns him into 16-year-old again.
But does he lose like all of his memories and everything too?
No.
From the past, like, oh, okay.
No.
So he's essentially mentally still 27.
And they try to play it off like he was in his 20s and he was a burnout and he had nothing going on and he never got over like being a social outcast in high school. And so it's like, oh, well, you never really advanced past high school is the way they try to play it off in that one. Right.
So he was always mentally
even though
16.
he was, in his 20s.
Sure.
And was turned back into a high schooler.
Your brain doesn't fully develop till you're 25.
Yeah, sure. Whatever. But he I think there are like crushes or romantic elements in that one, but that one is not, if I remember correctly, it's been a very long time since I saw that one. Like a straight romance. That one's more about like actually like having friends in high school, because he like was a social outcast and things like that. So yeah. But this one was just straight creepy. The only character that gives any direct pushback over the relationship is the dude's father, and he is almost portrayed like a villain.
Of course.
Because he's like, why are you like screwing around with your sister's friend who's in high school? You know, like, why are you doing that? Like, what the fuck's wrong with you, basically? And he's portrayed as, you know, the bad guy in the situation. It's like, oh, they never got along and blah, 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 blah. But then, like, he comes around whenever the dude explains that, you know, he's like, you know, you don't understand, like, I love her, blah, 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 and I'm going to wait until she's an adult, and, you know, I'm not going to screw up her life, is what he says to his father. And he's like, oh, okay, that's cool now. That's cool now that you, that's cool now that, yeah, that's cool now that you're preying on a 17-year-old. Yeah, that's, so, yeah, that was awful.
What's the sort of reception to the show generally? If you look online,
so I was watching this a lot on my laptop, like, because I was just like, you know, I'm not like paying.
Oh, and there's like comments, right? Like on like if you're on like Crunchyroll or whatever.
On the Crunchyroll website, there are comments, and like it's just a lot of people defending the age gap.
Sure, makes
being
sense.
Like, why,
makes sense.
Being like, why are you watching this if you know you're not okay with the age gap? It's like,
because
you know,
we can't think critically.
It's like, oh, are you trying to get this show canceled? And it's like, no, you finished airing, you dipshits. Like, what? So anyway, that's like the original connotation of the word.
Yes, that's right.
Like actually, like, yeah, no, not good at all. Nobody should watch that shit. I was truly hoping for a turn. I was hoping for something. Because there was also another anime I watched. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And that one's just incest. That one's straight incest. It's a brother and a sister, and it's not even the porno step you know sister thing. They're blood related. Mm-hmm. They're blood brother and sister. And it's like,
that's just like, you know, presenting, because like the stepsister thing, that's like such a worn thing. Like you've seen that you've seen that so many times. So you need to take it a step further to make something truly fresh, you know? You don't though. You don't. And that one's really rough because it was basically like, oh, okay, you two just needed a better sibling relationship, and the younger sister has a crush. That's like, you know, like as you might if you were a young kid, you know, and you admired your sibling, right? Something, you know, but then you grow out of it. This show presupposes that, no, the dude, even though he actually found somebody that seemed to be a good match for him, ignores that person and breaks their heart in favor of dating his sister. Have you seen by any chance the indie film, The Color Wheel from Alex Ross Perry?
No.
Okay. Yeah, that one's about, it's billed as like a screwball comedy about two siblings that are incredibly insufferable. And it ends in a very interesting place.
And you might even say that, much like the Crunchyroll comments would be like, well, why are you watching this if you object to it so much? And it's because I couldn't believe the premise of these things. And I was like, are they really going to follow through with the premise, or is there a turn? And in the case of the sibling one, no, there's not. And in the case of there's
not like a surprise
dude
there's not like a
preying on the high
surprise
schooler
ancestry DNA test that
no,
it
ends with a weird thing where they pretend to get married. They say that they're going to date for 6 months or something, and then they'll be done with it and go back to being siblings. But then they still like are holding hands at the end of the 6 months. So that what are you gonna do with that shit? It's like, you want to have it both ways. You want to have the incest and not have incest.
Sounds like they're just getting it out of their system.
Yes, but then they're still kind of like too close for siblings. Right. So yeah, I have a deep morbid curiosity. If I see something that's like, oh, that's really rough. Are they actually doing that? In some cases, yes, they are actually doing that. So that's some anime. I don't know if any of that's usable. I really don't. But I watched it this week, and I had to talk about how fucking bizarre.
And these are
was.
new.
The one with the high school, the guy preying on a high schooler is relatively new. I think maybe 2019. So in the last few years. The incest one is a little older. I think maybe 20.
Not that like
15.
The year it came out would really matter when it comes to these topics.
No. The domestic girlfriend one, that's the interesting one because they kind of delve into it about how fucked up it is, just a little bit. Like it's still there. Then the sibling teacher. God. The sibling teacher, they get caught basically. And it's like, well, what the fuck are you doing?
Have you reached a point?
Like you're an adult
where you have watched too much anime and you've entered a realm of anime that should not be accessed. Like you've exhausted the platform to the point where you've.
That's pretty. That might be valid because I've basically I mentioned on another episode that might have been last week where it's like I watch either like highbrow artsy shit, or straight trash, and this is the absolute trash. This is the dregs. This is the worst of the worst. Yeah, because so like I do watch a lot of rom-com anime, and mostly because it's just very easy to watch. There's like you don't have to fucking think at all. You can just throw it on and watch it. And most of the time it's not really any good. It's like there's usually a harem. It's very heteronormative, of course. And like you're just watching a bunch of girls fall in love with some dipshit dude that really doesn't deserve it, or is just like so generic that it doesn't matter. It's like supposed to be very self-inserty for the age group anime fan, right? It's supposed to be like some kind of aspirational thing. Like, yeah, you can get all these girls for not doing anything at all. But there are funny moments, and it's just easy to watch. So you can just throw it on and not have to think too much. Because if you think too much about it, then it's like, yeah, this is absolute dreck. This is garbage. So then it's like, okay, then you start getting the weirder shit where it's like, yeah, this is the harem anime, but one of them is the sister, and so he's going to reject all the other girls that are not blood related to him and go for the sister. It's like, what the fuck, man? Not that I've seen, but there's like that one on Netflix that's like just the animal people. Count. Well, right. I don't know the details of that.
True.
No, I've not seen a harem anime where the dude has to pick through the animals, or do you mean like cat girls? Like,
I don't know, just in general. I was just trying to come up with whatever.
Where on the bestiality scale do you?
I was just trying to think of another like just ridiculous thing that they could throw in as like a
just
twist.
Just an awful taboo. Yes. Yeah. No, I have not seen a bestiality, but I would not put it past. And that's the other thing. Like, this is not like hentai, right? These are just like...
Yeah, I mean, for a minute there, I'm questioning, are you sure the URL is crunchyroll.com? Are you not on some, like, weird...
Yeah, man. Some of these are, like, well-known, Like, yeah. There's some shit out there. Because that's the problem. It's like, you can only watch Monogatari through so many times, right? They don't, they're not making a lot of that, so...
Well, it's good that you balanced out this diet of romantic comedies with some true cinema in Coda this week. So you got a nice healthy balance.
Yes. Yeah. Ugh, God. We should wrap up because we've hit our 2-hour mark. So yeah. That's probably going to do it for us. Thank you very much for listening.
The way you said that makes it sound like that's it for the podcast. Like, that's going to do it for us. We're done here.
That's going to do it. I talked about incest anime.
At least you back-ended it. At least it wasn't like...
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, it'd be one thing if I was like, you know, like, hey, check this shit out. I watched something awesome. It's like, yeah, I watched the show where the 28-year-old man wants to date the 16-year-old. It's fucking great.
You can really see yourself in the protagonist.
Oh my god! It's like, yeah, that's what it is. If I was dating one of my brother's friends, like that's how fucked up it is, and it treats it like it's like, no, that these are the two heroes of the story. Like, no, he's clearly grooming this girl. He's sending gifts every day.
By a Woody Allen movie? Like, what's going on
my
here?
god! Like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay, when's where he, like, you know, gets kicked in the face and he loses his job for preying on a heist. Like, I was waiting.
I guess
for
it shouldn't be
something.
that surprising because
Something.
there was that Woody Allen film in like the 70s that was really popular, right? And really well regarded, and it basically is the same thing.
Yeah.
So
God, I might cut all of that. I might cut all of that. And I just told you. I don't know. Thank you for listening. We really do appreciate it. Where's my fucking shit? Okay, cool. Yeah, as always, you can follow me on Twitter at DeadEndRoad. I don't talk about shit anime on there. I promise. Check out the Facebook, facebook.com/DeadEndRoadTV. I don't know why the Facebook's active. I don't really post there, but it keeps gaining likes and follows.
wait, what do you mean you don't post there? You don't post the episodes?
I don't understand that platform. I do, yeah, but that's
okay,
it.
okay.
But there's no traction on the episodes, so I don't know why it is attracting more. I don't know. I don't get that platform whatsoever. So thank you for checking it out on Facebook, a platform I don't really use. Check out the twitch.tv/DeadEndRoadTV. I gotta stream raids and shit because I'm obligated. Do YouTube search for DeadEndRoad TV. We throw up the episodes, and I'm gonna start putting up clips and shit on there too, but I have to get my ass into gear. And as always, you can email anything at all at video@deadendroad.co. All right. Yeah, that's gonna do it. We will see you the next. I'm like, I can't spin out of it. I can't spin out of it. That's the problem. Goodbye. Get out of here.